Tonight on ABC News Live Prime, Hurricane Erin barrels through the Atlantic, the massive storm growing in size and threatening coastal communities up and down the East Coast.
I'm Victor Oquendo in the Outer Banks in North Carolina. The governor has declared a state of emergency ahead of this powerful storm. How residents here are getting ready.
And our Ginger Z has the latest time and track of the storm, and specifically what communities need to be on the lookout for. And a word of advice: don't try to swim the next few days. As the state is bracing for impacts from Hurricane Erin, a powerful explosion rocks a business in Wilmington, North Carolina. 3 firefighters hurt inside the building at the time of the blast. President Trump's push for peace in Ukraine. The White House has ruled out American boots on the ground. But more questions than answers a day after that historic meeting. Will Vladimir Putin agree to meet with President Zelensky as his forces target more civilians? One man's death-defying miles-long journey for food to feed his family. Marcus Moore has the harrowing story in tonight's Prime Focus. The narrow escape for 2 food vloggers, an SUV crashing into a restaurant, all as they were filming. And the great race through airport security, the new way to get through faster. We have all the details on that and other ways to make sure you can catch your flight. And do you want to be $600 million richer? The Powerball jackpot is rising when that all-important next drawing is.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is Prime with Linsey Davis.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Stephanie Ramos. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Tonight, we begin with much of the East Coast bracing for Hurricane Erin. A Category 2 storm tonight, packing winds up to 105 miles an hour. While the storm is not expected to make landfall, don't be fooled. North Carolina is under a state of emergency where mandatory evacuations are underway in the Outer Banks. Waves could rise up to 20 feet high, with a storm surge reaching up to 4 feet. North Carolina is not alone. Flood watches and rip current alerts stretch from Florida all the way up to New Jersey, where red flags are out, already warning of the dangerous currents to come. And helping to track the threat in real time, buoys that have been dropped ahead of the storm by Air Force hurricane hunters that will help track data like waves and turbulence. Ginger Z has a look at Erin's track in just a moment. But first, ABC's Victor Oquendo leads us off from North Carolina, where Erin will make its closest pass.
Tonight, churning waves and double red flags. Alerts from Florida to Massachusetts. Erin now making that northward turn up the East Coast. Mandatory evacuations in effect for the Outer Banks, where Erin's surge plus high tide could leave residents and visitors stranded. We're right along Highway 12. This is the main artery in the Outer Banks. It's common for waves to come crashing up over this dune and flood the highway. So what this front end loader is doing is pushing up some of that sand to try to fortify the dune. John Betzker moved here from New Jersey 3 months ago. His family was supposed to come visit him this week.
When this alarm came, those plans got canceled. So I decided it's just better to go home and visit them for a while and come back when it's all over.
After more than 60 people were rescued off Wrightsville Beach Monday, authorities restricting swimming. Many more towns following suit. Air Force hurricane hunters tracking Erin, throwing ocean buoys out of a C-130 to gather data. The massive system expanding, now more than 600 miles across. Those outer bands will lash the coast with tropical storm force winds up to 4 feet of storm surge and waves up to 20 feet.
If a large wave knocks you off your feet, it will take you out into the water and potentially out past that shore break. And if you get far enough into the trough, it can pull you out past the bar.
On the Jersey Shore, where there have been multiple drownings already this summer, the governor is worried.
This is no time to be complacent. I would just say to you flat out, don't go in the water.
Victor Oquendo is in the Outer Banks tonight. Victor, we can see it is sunny. It seems pleasant there where you are. What can you tell us about the conditions?
That's right, Stephanie, but the red flags are up here in Kill Devil Hills, and the surf is definitely getting stronger. Swells right now 3 to 5 feet, but come Wednesday into Thursday could be up to 20 feet. With this dangerous mix of high surf and high tides, it's going to get ugly. North Carolina's governor has declared a state of emergency. Stephanie?
That surf expected to intensify. Victor Oquendo for us tonight. Thank you so much. Please be safe out there. The latest track for Hurricane Erin coming out just a short time ago as two other systems begin to take shape. Let's get right to ABC's chief meteorologist, Ginger Z, who is tracking it all for us. Ginger?
Hey, Stephanie. So Erin is less than 600 miles to the south-southeast of Hatteras, North Carolina now, and it's moving north-northwest at 10. So it started to tick on that northerly track as we've expected. Here's what we have to look out for. We've already seen those tropical storm warnings, a storm surge warning in the Outer Banks for up to 4 feet of surge. But the tropical storm watch has now extended Virginia Beach up to the Delmarva Peninsula. This thing has really widespread winds, and it will keep growing that wind field as it goes north. And that's why even hundreds of miles from the center, you could see 40+ mile-per-hour winds. And I think for sure by Thursday morning, because the big impacts for the Outer Banks start Wednesday night, go through Thursday morning. You can see how close that storm is. Even a few rain bands just kind of tickling there. Just gets off to the north and east thanks in part to that stationary front. But even Toms River, Montauk, up through the Cape are going to see big impacts because it's like a bulldozer pushing a ton of water up against the shoreline. And that's why we've got the high rip current risk, the destructive waves, and coastal flood alerts. They're starting to pop too. See how the track, though, takes it away? And by the end of Saturday, we are done with Erin. We've got a couple days until then, though. So let's focus on kind of where it will be ground zero for some of the worst impacts, and that's the Outer Banks. Extreme beach and coastal damage are likely. That's the wording they're using from the National Weather Service in the high surf advisories. 10 to 20-foot waves, severe flooding that could extend inland. Now, it's not just the Outer Banks, though. Remember, this is anyone from Virginia through Maryland into Rehoboth, up the Jersey Shore, throughout Long Island, Rhode Island, and even Nantucket, so the Cape is in there. Erosion is always a possibility with a storm like this, and those places that erode pretty easily, like the Jersey Shore, we'll be watching this carefully. So it's not just the risk in the water, but outside of it. And finally, I'll leave you, Stephanie, with something nobody wants to see, but hey, we are still climbing toward the peak of hurricane season. 2 other waves we're watching. That one closest has a 60% chance of developing into a tropical depression. If we got a named storm, the next name is Fair Not.
All right, incredible. And the Hurricane Erin not making landfall, but still making a major impact. Ginger Z for us tonight. Thank you, Ginger. Dramatic images are coming in tonight from North Carolina. Multiple firefighters were injured while responding to a gas leak report. Police said a driver went off the road, hitting a building's gas line, which caused a large explosion and fire. Firefighters were inside that building when the blast occurred. ABC's Faith Abube has more.
This is the moment a building in North Carolina exploded with 3 firefighters trapped inside.
Oh my God.
The violent blast rocking this Wilmington neighborhood, shooting debris into the sky. A thick plume of smoke towering above the city.
There's a lot of debris behind us. There's debris in the parking lot next to us. There's kind of debris everywhere.
Officials say 1 firefighter suffered severe burns to the arm and hands. The other 2 are being treated for non-life-threatening injuries.
They did call a mayday after the explosion, and so they were able to extricate out of the building after that.
The crew was inside the building responding to a call about a gas leak after police say a driver ran off the road and struck a nearby gas line.
When officers arrived, the vehicle was gone, so it was a hit and run. There was evidence that would lead one to believe that the driver was impaired.
And Faith Abube joins us now. Faith, what more are you learning about the driver?
Well, Stephanie, police have found that driver. They've arrested and charged him with multiple charges. He's being held on driving while impaired charges and causing serious injury. Stephanie.
All right. Thank you so much, Faith. Turning now to the efforts to end Russia's war in Ukraine. President Trump is promising that no American ground troops will be sent when it comes to guaranteeing Ukraine's security. But perhaps the biggest question remains, will President Vladimir Putin agree to meet with President Zelensky for the sake of peace? We're standing by to hear from former U.S.-Ukraine Ambassador Bill Taylor. But first, here's ABC's Rachel Scott.
Tonight, President Trump says any effort to protect a possible peace deal between Russia and Ukraine will not involve American boots on the ground. It comes after he promised Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky the U.S. would provide security guarantees in case Russia invades again.
Would that involve U.S. troops? Would you rule that out in the future?
We'll let you know that maybe later today. When it comes to security, there's going to be a lot of help. It's going to be good. They are first line of defense because they're there. They're Europe. But we're going to help them out also. We'll be involved.
Today, President Trump saying the U.S. could help with air support in the skies, but ruled out the idea of American troops on the ground.
What kind of assurances do you feel like you have that going forward and, past this Trump administration, it won't be American boots on the ground defending that border?
Well, you have my assurance, and I'm president.
The president says he got Zelensky and Putin to agree to sit down one-on-one. A hot mic caught him telling French President Emmanuel Macron he thinks Putin wants to make a deal for him.
I think he wants to make a deal for me. You understand? I think as crazy as it sounds.
The president says he wants the meeting between Putin and Zelensky to happen quickly. The White House insisting he doesn't want to wait another month. But Russia still hasn't confirmed Putin is on board. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov pointing to a lengthy process, saying any meeting, quote, must be prepared with the utmost care, step by step, gradually, starting at the expert level and then moving on to all the necessary stages. Meanwhile, Russia continues to pound Ukraine with a barrage of deadly drone attacks. Today, I asked the White House why the president is convinced that Putin actually wants to come to the table.
What indications is the president getting from Putin that he wants to have this meeting with Zelensky soon?
Because he spoke to him directly yesterday.
Reporters then pressing about that phone call.
Did he agree to have a sit down with just Zelensky on the phone?
I can assure you that the United States government and the Trump administration is working with both Russia and Ukraine to make that bilateral happen as we speak.
Asking once again.
Did Putin promise to do a meeting with Zelensky, a direct meeting, in the coming weeks?
He has.
But tonight, Russia is not saying as much. And though President Trump wants a meeting soon, right now, there's no indication of when or even if it will happen.
Lots of people still waiting for that meeting. Rachel Scott joins us now from the White House. Rachel, it seems as though there's a lot of uncertainty that still looms around whether or not we'll see a peace deal, right?
Yes, Stephanie, especially because President Trump says Putin agreed to this meeting when they had their phone call. But the Kremlin and top officials with Russia have not yet confirmed that this meeting is actually going to happen. They've talked about the delegations getting together to discuss possible next steps. But it does appear that they are slow walking this, and a lot here riding on President Trump's relationship with Vladimir Putin. You have European leaders. They are telling the president to tell Putin to agree to a ceasefire. That's not something that the Russian leader wants. So the bottom line, tonight the fighting continues with no ceasefire and no agreement just yet. Stephanie.
All right. Rachel Scott for us there at the White House with that update. Thank you so much, Rachel. Joining us tonight is former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, Bill Taylor. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you were advising President Zelensky, would you tell him to take a one-on-one meeting with Putin?
Sure, Stephanie. Yeah, I mean, President Zelensky knows exactly what he wants. And he knows also that President Putin is looking not for a peace deal, but to drag it out. So the longer Putin can drag it out, the more he can bomb Ukraine. So sure, President Zelensky ought to take the opportunity to do this, to demonstrate to the Ukrainians, demonstrate to Russians, demonstrate to Americans and Europeans that he, Zelensky, is looking for a peace. He's looking for a ceasefire. He's looking for a way to stop the killing.
Yeah, and this, of course, has been a war that's been dragged out. Are we closer to peace after that summit in Alaska and the meetings at the Oval Office yesterday? What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that probably no closer after the Anchorage summit. But yesterday's summit, I think, actually made some progress. Europeans were united. Europeans came to Washington to make the point that this war is about Ukraine, yes, and that's why they were there to support Zelensky. But this war is broader than that. I think President Macron made the point that this is about European security. The Europeans know, Stephanie, that Ukraine needs to stop the Russians now. Europeans want the Ukrainians to stop the Russians in Ukraine, exactly as your map shows. Stop the Russians in Ukraine so that the Russians don't threaten the rest of Europe.
Let's talk about American troops possibly on the ground. President Trump has ruled out U.S. boots on the ground, but not air support. So what kind of security guarantees is Ukraine looking for?
Ukraine wants concrete security guarantees that will deter the Russians from attacking again. They thought they had guarantees in 1994 when they gave up their nuclear weapons at the insistence of President Clinton. So the Europeans were part of that as well, and they didn't stop the Russians from attacking. So the Ukrainians want something more than just a memo.
And we know that today Russia's foreign minister said Moscow is open to talks with Ukraine, but insisted it's crucial for any meeting to be prepared step by step and with utmost care. What do you think he meant by that?
He means to drag it out. He means to stall. Certainly, it is true to prepare. You need to prepare. There's no doubt about that. But what the Russians do and have done over and over and over is stall. And it allows their military to continue to batter, bombard the Ukrainians, which they've done.
The fire there has been nonstop the last 24 hours. Let's talk about a possible ceasefire. We know that President Trump has now backed off demands for a ceasefire, saying it's not necessary for a peace deal. What are your thoughts on that? Do you agree or disagree with that?
I disagree. I think that President Trump actually had the right idea last week when he was very strongly in favor of this ceasefire. He was very much ready to go to Anchorage and push for a ceasefire. He even said that if Putin didn't agree to a ceasefire, that President Trump was going to put some sanctions on. He's going to force Putin to come to a ceasefire. That seemed to change when they got in the room in Anchorage. However, again, yesterday, a better story. The Europeans came to town and pushed the ceasefire. We heard Chancellor Merz saying this right up front in public, in the public part. He made talk about the ceasefire. Many of them, I think President Macron also referred to a truce or a ceasefire or an armistice. They pushed back, and I believe that President Trump heard them and is moving back towards supporting a ceasefire.
Former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, Bill Taylor, thank you so much for your time and insights. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Now to an alarming story unfolding in Southern California. Authorities say a mother who frantically reported her 7-month-old baby had been kidnapped outside a store has now stopped cooperating with police. Investigators are raising questions about inconsistencies in her story. Here's ABC's chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman.
Tonight, that urgent search for 7-month-old Emmanuel Harrow after police say they found inconsistencies in his mother's claim that he was kidnapped from this Big 5 parking lot in San Bernardino County, California, 5 days ago. Rebecca Harrow breaking down before the cameras as she described being attacked from behind as she changed her son's diaper in the backseat of her truck.
And I laid him down and so I could get his diapers ready. And somebody said, "Hola," and that's all I remember. And I saw white. And a hearing sound, I fell on the floor.
The mother of 5 said she was knocked unconscious and suffered this black eye.
And I said, as I got up, I couldn't find my son. I checked around my truck.
Both parents pleading for Emmanuel's return.
Please give him back.
Just give him back to me again. Please don't harm my son. Please, I'm begging you. Please, God, please.
Police have executed multiple search warrants at the family home after they say the mother stopped cooperating when confronted with inconsistencies in her story. And court records show the baby's father had pleaded guilty in 2023 to a charge of willful child cruelty. Stephanie, the sheriffs tell me this is still a very active investigation to try to find baby Emmanuel. Now, they have many deputies in the field, they say, but they're also reviewing a significant amount of surveillance footage. And they say that this remains a missing persons case. Stephanie.
We are all hoping for baby Emmanuel's safe return. Thank you so much, Matt. Democratic State Representative Nicole Collier spent the night in the Texas Capitol building amidst a contentious battle over redistricting. Republican leadership required Democrats to sign permission slips to leave the building with a state law enforcement escort after Democrats left the state earlier this month to avoid a redistricting vote. Collier refused and posted a picture on X of her sleeping on the House floor last night. There she is. The vote on the new congressional map is set to happen tomorrow. President Trump confirmed he has ordered a review of the Smithsonian museums and the American history on display. The president is upset over exhibits about slavery in the U.S. and the dark parts of America's past. He said museums should focus more on America's brightness and not, quote, how bad slavery was. Here's ABC's chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl.
Tonight, President Trump announced he has instructed his lawyers to scour through America's museums to rid them of exhibits he calls woke. Specifically, Trump cited the Smithsonian museums, saying they are, quote, out of control, where everything discussed is how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was, and how unaccomplished the downtrodden have been. Back in March, the president signed an executive order directing the Smithsonian Institution, which runs more than 20 museums in Washington and elsewhere, to, quote, celebrate American exceptionalism and remove divisive or partisan narratives. Last month, the Smithsonian removed references to Trump in an exhibit on presidential impeachments in the Museum of American History. Mentions of Trump's impeachments were later restored, although with changes. Now he's complaining about exhibits on slavery.
What do you think of the museum, Mr. President?
Honestly, it's fantastic.
During his first term, Trump visited the Museum of African American History and Culture, which tells the story of slavery and celebrates African American accomplishments. Back then, he called it a, quote, truly great museum done with love.
This tour was a meaningful reminder of why we have to fight bigotry, intolerance, and hatred in all of its very ugly forms.
And Jonathan Karl joins us now. John, how is the American Alliance of Museums reacting to the president's comments?
Well, Stephanie, the group, which represents museums across the country, says that no president, not President Trump or any other president, has the power to impose the kind of review that Trump says he is now ordering. As for Trump's actions, they say that they represent a, quote, growing threat of censorship against American museums. Stephanie?
All right, we will see how this all plays out. Jonathan Karl for us there in D.C. Thank you, John. Air Canada is resuming service after reaching an agreement with the flight attendants union after a weeks-long strike. Flight attendants argued new contracts should include pay for work done on the ground, like boarding passengers. While details of the negotiations haven't been released, the union said that unpaid work was over. The carrier says some flights will still be canceled, and it could take up to a week or more to be fully operational. The U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, part of DHS, published a memo today announcing new guidance applying to immigrants looking to become U.S. citizens. ABC's legal contributor, James Sample, is joining us once again to break this all down for us. James, great to have you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. So let's talk about this. This new guidance significantly changes how USCIS officers assess, right, whether immigrants meet the so-called good moral character requirement when applying for U.S. citizenship. So tell us about this change and how it could affect immigrants trying to get naturalized.
Stephanie, it is a change, and good moral character has always been a requirement for applications for naturalization. But what is the change here is an emphasis on a shift in the burden of proof, in essence. It used to be that an applicant for naturalization would demonstrate good moral character, often referred to as GMC in the immigration context, by demonstrating the absence of problematic behavior, the absence of criminal behavior or other problematic behaviors. Now there is an additional burden, which is to say that the new memo issued by the Department of Homeland Security and the Trump administration puts the burden on applicants to demonstrate positive attributes. And on its face, that's really hard not to support. On its face, that sounds innocuous and like something that everyone would be in favor of. The question will be whether or not in application it is administered in a fair and non-discriminatory manner.
And so now agents will be looking for also positive attributes apart from what they usually look for, which is making sure applicants haven't committed serious offenses. But this new policy sounds a little subjective, no? How would they measure positive contributions and make sure what a person has done is enough to become a citizen?
I think that's exactly the right question, and it is the right emphasis, Stephanie, which is to say that this introduces a significant degree of subjectivity into a process, which is to say that the administration says, on the one hand, their spokespeople say that U.S. citizenship is the gold standard of citizenship, and only the best of the best should get the opportunity for that citizenship. Critics of this policy say that this subjective discretion injects arbitrary decision-making, will lead to politically biased decisions, will put extra burdens on applicants, and may even stifle free speech. For example, there is an emphasis in the policy on what the administration refers to as rooting out anti-Americanism. Now, rooting out anti-Americanism, again, on its face, sounds like something that naturalization should include on a holistic basis. But does that mean, for example, disagreeing with the Trump administration or expressing, for example, pro-Palestinian views? Are those going to be considered by the powers that be in the administration as anti-American, when in other contexts they would be referred to as freedom of thought and freedom of speech?
Right. The administration certainly making it harder for immigrants to become legal immigrants. Now, James, you'll remember this. One of President Trump's biggest campaign promises was to go after criminals and undocumented immigrants. In this case, though, immigrants cannot become U.S. citizens overnight. We know that. They have to be documented. And in many cases, they have to wait for years in order to apply. They go through multiple steps and vetting. And it seems like this administration's attention is now shifting to legal immigration. Do you think the purpose of this new guidance is to make it harder for people to become citizens? What are your thoughts on this topic?
I think that that is absolutely one of the purposes, Stephanie. On the one hand, you have the rhetoric that says we're going to target the worst of the worst as a priority for deportation. Then you see that despite that rhetoric, that hasn't been necessarily how it's worked out on the ground. Here, at the very same time that the administration is talking about deporting millions and millions of individuals, it is also making it easier for certain categories of individuals to come into the country via means like the so-called Trump card, the idea of a citizenship gold card for those who have money and resources, while making it more difficult for the people who, as you say, in many respects have done everything right. It is a far cry from the words on the Statue of Liberty penned by Emma Lazarus, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Those individuals right now seem like they are being disinvited from the shores of the United States.
Lots of changes by this administration. ABC News legal contributor James Sample. Thank you so much, James.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Now to the unexpected and dangerous moment at a Houston, Texas restaurant caught on camera by a pair of food vloggers. Take a look. The influencers say they were filming a restaurant review when a car plowed into the window, sending glass and food everywhere. Despite this, the diners didn't suffer any major injuries. One of the influencers later posting, "This could have been our last meal." So glad they're okay. Well, coming up here on ABC News Live Prime, want to win big? You still have your chance at the Powerball jackpot that is right now at its highest point of the year. Your next opportunity to win and just how good the odds are of claiming the big prize. Plus, the urgent warning from health officials about possibly radioactive shrimp. How to know if you've purchased it. And as we cover the dangers Palestinians have faced trying to get aid in Gaza, our Marcus Moore brings us one man's miles-long journey, all to feed his family. Over the past few months, Prime has reported on the many hundreds of Palestinians who in dire circumstances have been killed while trying to get food. And behind each of those faces is a story. Tonight, meet Mohammed Shahada, who takes us on a journey to one of these aid trucks. His family once owned a successful business in Gaza, and now he risks his life to feed his mother and 4 younger siblings. In tonight's Prime Focus, our Marcus Moore looks at his death-defying journey, all to feed his family.
والشعب إن ما هجمش على المقطورة عشان ياخذ أكله هيروح فاضي. كتير صارت معي يعني ما هجمش ما خاطرش في روحي اروح فاضي مكسور خاطر.
صور عملوا ايوه اعطيني واحده.
This day begins like so many that have come before. Mohammed Shahada gets ready to find food for his family. A daily ritual. It is Friday, August the 15th. The 26-year-old grabs a bag, a water bottle, and puts on this pair of black shoes, preparing for a trek of some 3 miles each way. His route weaves out of the city and along the coast towards Gaza's northern border. Every step across this dusty terrain is one through the ruins, and soon, chaos and terror. He's not the only one making the trip. Others are on this harrowing journey too, some at a slower pace, yet all driven to survive, surrounded by destruction and smothered by a relentless sun. There is no escaping its glare, nor the danger that awaits with every trip. Here, respite is in the rubble, a hellscape for as far as the eye can see. And today, high above the scourge of this war, streaking across the sky, the international community's attempt to help Mohammed and the others here. In the distance, aid glides to the ground. The pallets land miles away, back where Shahada first began his journey. Even these airdrops have been criticized as dangerous and have proven deadly. While back on that dusty path, Mohammed and others wait. In the background, amidst the chatter, one man gives advice. And soon, the unmistakable and menacing sound of gunfire. Some here don't even flinch, while others react in the most human way. It is difficult to see where the shots are coming from, but you can hear those bullets tearing through the air. And then this moment they had all been waiting for, a dash towards a road and the approaching aid trucks. Hunger driving the desperation that runs deep in Gaza, a scene of utter misery. Amid the sounds of shots, people grab whatever they can carry from the trucks. It is absolute chaos. Yet for these souls, it is survival. And then another tense wait for more passing trucks. As they crouch down for safety, bullets whiz by just overhead, Mohammed inadvertently begins to record in slow motion, capturing the intensity and the anguish of the moment as time seems to slow. Each phase telling a story. And then the crowd rushes again, swarming a truck that's carrying critical aid. This was not the driver's planned destination, and it doesn't take long for the loads to be emptied.
عايش هذه مش عيشة هذه عيشة قهر وذل وجوع وتعب.
Aid groups point to scenes like this as proof that more aid routes need to be opened in Gaza, that the United Nations and other groups should lead the charge, while Israel says it is still too dangerous.
رسالة المفوضين وللعالم بعرض الله حلونا يعني خلص كفي مش ضايل يصير فينا ايش بده يصير فينا اكثر من اللي صار فينا.
Hours after he set out for the journey, Shahada heads back home, the weight of his family's needs resting on his shoulders. Finally, at that familiar door, those once black shoes now gray with dust. His little brothers greet him in the garden, and from the bag, Mohammed reveals the hummus and sweets they will eat. Their smiles contagious, perhaps never knowing the hell their brother went through to feed them. A happy end to what passes for a normal day here. And Mohammed knows that soon he'll have to go through it all again.
Those boys full of joy and innocence as their home country just past those gates falls apart. Our thanks to Marcus Moore for that powerful reporting. Coming up here on ABC News Live Prime, the new ways you can speed through airport security. We go through all the options with the points guy. And the Justin Bieber impersonator, the man who swindled thousands of dollars from a Vegas nightclub. It's one of the busiest times of year to travel, but if you think airports are packed now, get ready for next summer when the U.S. co-hosts the FIFA World Cup and marks its 250th anniversary. With those events in mind, the security company Clear launched new e-gates for airport security today in Atlanta, allowing Clear Plus members to verify their identities through biometric scanners and bypass the TSA podium straight to security screening. We'll speak in a moment with Clint Henderson of The Points Guy, but first, let's look at these new gates and airport security now by the numbers. By the end of this month, 3 airports are expected to have these e-gates open: Atlanta, as well as Seattle and DC's Reagan Airport, with many more to come. The rollout comes with more than 20 million international travelers expected to fly in for the World Cup. And with TSA already screening more than 2 million passengers a day, there are ways to get through security faster. TSA PreCheck is available at more than 200 airports nationwide. 15 airports now offer a touchless ID version of PreCheck, which uses facial recognition technology to speed up the security lines. And 8 airports are already part of a program giving traveling families their own security lanes and discounts on TSA PreCheck. For more on these new e-gates and how they'll impact the airport security experience, let's bring in Clint Henderson, managing editor for The Points Guy. Thank you, Clint, for joining us. I cannot tell you how many times I've had to run through an airport traveling for breaking news, and I get so lucky that the TSA PreCheck line is not long. So it's great to hear that there are more options. You've had a chance to actually try these gates where they've been tested, right? So what was that process like?
So it's really cool. The future is here. I was at Oakland Airport, and they were doing a pilot program where they were testing them out. And basically, you approach the gates, and you'll see it in this video that's coming up here shortly. You approach these gates, and they open once you scan your boarding pass. Now, the new ones that are actually officially rolling out in Atlanta today, actually, you don't even need to scan your boarding pass. The scanners see your face and they recognize you via biometrics. And so once the gate turns green, you can proceed through. And in this case, in Atlanta, you'll have a TSA agent right there. You won't need to go to a podium. You just go straight to baggage screening. So it saves you a ton of time potentially. And you don't really need Clear until you need it, as you just mentioned. So this system I think is going to be great for those folks who don't have worries about privacy, who just want to get through the airport quickly. So I'm eager to test it out myself.
Yeah, I've debated over whether to get Clear or just stick with TSA PreCheck, which, by the way, for military folks is free. But there have been so many times where I see that there is no line in the TSA PreCheck line and there is no line in Clear. So it's like, well, why get Clear? It's a toss-up. It varies. But I've also seen the touchless ID option at some airports, as well as TSA PreCheck. So are there any advantages for this over the new Clear program or vice versa?
So the real winner is a TSA PreCheck with Clear, and you see this at airports like Seattle. You never need Clear until you need it. You know what I mean? So that's why I like it. I think the touchless IDs, if you've used those in Atlanta, New York, DCA, I think is rolling it out. It's biometric. It's a separate line. It's shorter than all the lines. So you really skip the line. And this Clear biometric gate thing, the idea is that eventually you'll be able to just go through a threshold. There'll be no interaction with a human at all, and you go straight to baggage screening. So I think this is going to be a real time saver. And even if it's only saving you 2 or 3 minutes a year or a trip, eventually that adds up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, some people are concerned about their privacy regarding these biometric screenings, so we'll see how that's addressed in time. But good to see that there are some options. Clint, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Good to see you, Stephanie.
Well, coming up here on ABC News Live Prime, Snoopy, Charlie Brown, and the gang, they are off to summer camp in a new Peanuts special. We speak with singer-songwriter Ben Folds about creating the music for Snoopy Presents a Summer Musical. And kids' meals may not just be for kids anymore. Why more and more adults are choosing to order off the children's menu. Check your freezer. The FDA is warning the public about potentially radioactive shrimp. An unbelievable impersonation of a pop star cost a bar more than $10,000. And time to grab a ticket. The Powerball is growing yet again. These stories and more in tonight's rundown. The Food and Drug Administration is urgently warning consumers to discard a frozen shrimp purchased at Walmart after finding possible radioactive isotopes in a sample batch. Customs and Border Patrol initially tipped off the FDA that they found traces of cesium-137. That's a radioactive material in shipping containers at 4 ports across the U.S. The FDA then tested samples of frozen shrimp from Indonesia that were destined for American shelves. The FDA says the Great Value brand frozen shrimp may have been prepared or stored in areas that have been contaminated by cesium-137. The agency says an investigation is ongoing. 21 states have called on the Drug Enforcement Administration to ban Rosuvastatin, commonly known as designer Xanax, because it is increasingly contributing to overdose deaths across the country. The synthetic drug has not been approved for medical use, but is being sold illegally on the streets and online. The overdose reversal drug Narcan is not effective against bromozolam, which, when mixed with opioids, is highly potent and unpredictable. And that's according to attorneys general from 21 states. Is it too late now to say sorry? Clubgoers in Las Vegas were left confused after a man impersonating pop star Justin Bieber gained access to a nightclub in Vegas. The incident occurred at the Wynn Hotel in Las Vegas, and video from the night shows the impersonator, complete with a fake entourage and security, getting on stage during a DJ set and performing a few hit songs of the real Bieber. The prankster was later caught and banned from the hotel properties for life. The Boston Celtics have officially closed a deal that is believed to be the largest sale of a North American sports franchise in history. A private equity group led by investor Bill Chisholm purchased the team with a winning bid that valued the franchise at more than $6 billion. The deal was approved unanimously by the NBA last week. And who says that adults can't feel like a kid again? A new report from hospitality and retail company Lightspeed revealed that almost half of adults admit to ordering from the kids menu for themselves. The survey asked 1,000 people about their dining habits, and respondents said they sometimes chose kids' meals because of the smaller portion, simpler options, and better price. The Powerball jackpot has grown to $643 million with a cash payout of $290.6 million after no one won Monday night's drawing. A total that was already the highest of the year has now crept up even higher. The odds remain daunting at 1 in about 292 million for the top prize, though overall chances of winning any tier prize are better at 1 in about 25. The next drawing will take place tomorrow night. Time tonight for the latest in our series, Streamlined, where we bring you some of the biggest films and TV series hitting screens worldwide, speaking with some of the actors and creators behind them. And they are some of the most iconic and recognizable characters. Now Snoopy, Charlie Brown, and the whole Peanuts gang are back, celebrating what makes summer so magical in Snoopy Presents, a summer musical with new music from Emmy-nominated songwriter Ben Folds. The gang is headed to summer camp, but when they suddenly learn that their beloved camp is shutting down, Charlie Brown tries to save the camp by any means necessary. And what's a better idea than a concert? Take a look at this clip. Joining us now is Emmy-nominated singer-songwriter Ben Folds, the music supervisor behind Snoopy Presents, a summer musical. Thank you so much for being here tonight.
Good to be
really
here.
Appreciate it. So Snoopy Presents, a summer musical, comes at a pivotal point for Peanuts. It's the 75th anniversary of the comic strip, and this is the first time there's been a Peanuts musical in about 35 years. Is that right?
Yeah.
How does it feel to be entrusted to uphold and grow this legacy?
Well, you know, we did one thing together before. It was a show called It's the Small Things, Charlie Brown. So I got all my starstruckness out about working with Chuck. I mean, it turns out he was nervous to meet me as well. I heard that through the grapevine. But no, it's, you know, like we grow up with it.
Yes.
Like, and you know, I knew him better than I thought I did. Now, you know, the songs that I wrote for this were all for Charlie Brown. So I got into his head.
Okay.
And turns out I knew him better than I thought I did.
And you've spoken in the past about just how much Charlie Brown's character means to you. What makes this gang just so special to you?
You have to ask yourself why it survived for 75 years. And it's because, I think different characters are so dignified in their presentation. They're the way that I felt when I was a kid. You don't say everything you think all the time, and everything's not action all the time. And in Peanuts, it's very internal sometimes.
Yeah, and we know that the Peanuts gang is known for the holiday specials. That's when my kids are watching. So how did you draw inspiration from the classics from the past to write these Charlie Brown ballads now?
Well, one thing is that, Vince Guaraldi's music, which is the da-da-da-da-da-da, all that stuff, and the Christmas special song with the choir singing is just gorgeous. He set I feel like a standard of not underestimating what kids could listen to. How sophisticated is that music? And even though I wasn't interested in reviving that or copying that, I took that as I took the lead of allowing it to be as sophisticated and as nuanced as I wanted to.
Yeah, and this musical introduces some nuanced topics for children, like how to handle grief and loss. So how did you tackle that in these new songs?
Well, with Charlie Brown, what I realized is he is kind of a middle-aged man trapped in a child's body, like psychologically. So I wrote.
Sounds like my son.
Yeah,
my 10-year-old. Honestly,
I know there are kids
like an old man.
It's like, the song's called "When We Were Light." It's like, oh, back when we were light as the clouds. It's like, but he's speaking as a little kid. So the song is there for Charlie Brown to say, I'm not going to acknowledge the rain. I'm going to keep trying. I'm not going to look up. The kids go, look up, it's raining, look up. He's like, I won't look up, I won't look up. But then when the sun comes out, he's still working through it, trying to determine to make it happen. And the kids go, look up, the sun's out, look up. He's like, I can't look up, because he's that kind of person.
It's brilliant. It really is. Thank you so much, Ben. Thanks for being here. Ben Folds, thank you for stopping by. Snoopy Presents a Summer Musical is streaming right now on Apple TV+. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Stephanie Ramos. Stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thank you so much for streaming with us.